He's definitely worth a subscribe and everything else like that. But we also got another video we're gonna go move on to actually, which is one dealing with the Suicide Squad game because the first season did launch, and this is Luke Steffen's video about him actually going through it. And I'm kind of curious what his thoughts are about it.
Well, everyone, the day has finally come. Season 2 has just launched. I played it earlier on stream, and I have thoughts. Now, just to get it out of the way up front, yes, this game is dead. They're going to finish out the 4 seasonal updates.
I've got to be honest, the game was dead when it realized it only had 300 people playing it. This is a AAA game. Probably used millions upon millions to develop. Advertising must have been a bitch for it. If you're spending that much money and you're not making any return, you're fucked in my opinion. You're just fucked, mate. The game was dead since day one, I know. Like, what is it? 300 people are playing it average a day now. And from what I heard, it's going down. So, if that's what's going on and 300 people are the only people playing it, I've seen indie games with bigger player bases that you're just kind of fucked at that. Anthem all over again? It's worse than Anthem. Anthem at least had more than 3,000.
Walking away from it. Notably, Jason Schreier back in early June did a report on the game.
I will be honest. Anthem was still funner than Suicide Squad.
And explain kind of what went on, how the guys that were actually in charge of it, Sefton Hill and Jamie Walker, abandoned the studio and left like a year before its launch just because they didn't think that it was going to be very good, most likely.
That's okay. Criticize them all you want for abandoning ship. That's a good idea. Let's be honest. If you're on a ship you know is sinking, this game has been in what, development hell for 7 years. They know the thing was sinking and they just got the hell out of there. They formed an entirely new studio and everything else like that. As much as you want to criticize them for leaving like a year beforehand, that was clearly the best idea to do.
So they left, leaving the studio to just
also out, leave the company out so most AAA games.
But he also mentions that many of the studio's current employees are now helping to develop a new director's cut version of Hogwarts Legacy. And at the same time, according to people familiar, the studio leaders are looking to pitch a new single-player game which would return Rocksteady to its roots. So they're almost certainly not doubling down on this. They're not going to commit to like 5 years of support. They're walking away, and it's
300 players. You have to walk away, or you're just insane at that point.
Now that decision will make sense very quickly once you actually boot into the season 2 update, which I have here with Mrs. Frost. That's right. They decided to go with a gender-swapped Mr. Freeze instead of like
it did.
A character that was written as like a woman or something. They've just decided to take Mr. Freeze and then turn him into Mrs. Freeze, and that's the character we have.
They didn't do anything else. Call of Duty got outside by Lethal Company. I know, right?
And a huge thank you to our sponsor, Factor. Factor is the
skip that
before video balanced with things like veggies. Not today. Now listen, this game has multiverse stuff. They can do whatever they want. They could have a gender swapped Joker if they want.
Can I be honest? I'm tired of the multiverse. Like, I'm gonna be honest, they use that as a crutch for everything. They use it for a crutch for getting out of a pickle. Hell, the MCU's doing that to Robert Downey Jr., making him Doom. Like, sorry, but after everything, I'm kind of tired of multiverse shit. Just end it. Like, that's what I keep talking about. Endings. It's not because I don't want to have more of this stuff. It's just, I want a solid ending for something. Yeah. Why would they do the most 21st century thing? I don't know.
Like, it's totally up to them. Nobody's doubting that they can explain it narratively. The point is, this game was met with great skepticism when it was announced, way back in the day, years ago at this
Thank
point.
you for
These additional characters have
Robin Fillion just followed.
Thank you so much, Robin Fillion. Thank you so much for the follow. Welcome in. Welcome to the cup crew. The first cup is always on me. Would you like a mocha?
To have these DLC, like, expansion characters, they need to be badass. They need to be so good, so compelling, and interesting and crazy that...
Okay, I will fight you on this a little bit, Carboido, because I do think a gender swapped character could have been good. Mr. Freeze as a girl could have worked if it was like his wife. I don't think anything is technically a character that can't be done. Hell, I think even a banana, like a story about a banana going on like a journey to the west as a samurai could be interesting if you did it right. Like anything could be made into an interesting character. But the problem I have is this. They don't do anything interesting with them. They're just there for brownie points. Like it's the most insulting thing ever. Because my problem is this. I don't care that you want inclusion in the games. My problem is that the inclusion is so bad that it feels like you're tokenizing them. And then no wonder why everyone's looking at like new female lead king characters and going like, ugh, not this again. It's because they're badly written. Freaking Gorilla Grodd could have been so interesting. Gorilla Grodd, Reverse Flash, you could have had, hell, Scarecrow could have been decent in my opinion. Fucking Metallo, someone. I'm a big comic nerd, so you'll hear me rant about comic villains forever. But could have made for, like, you could have had like intro sequence, like this game could have been really good. It could have been really good in my opinion. This game could have been so good. Black Adam, you could have had Black Adam. Scarecrow worked. That one, Arkham. Yeah, that's fair, but still. Like, the Suicide Squad game could have been great. Like, introduce like flashy Amazo, baby doll, toy maker. You know, the list can go on and on and on. Like, a game like this, you could have Lex Luthor. I'm pretty sure he's in, but not a playable character, but you could have had him. My only problem with any of this is that the characters they introduce into this game are gender swapped for no reason, and then immediately written horribly because they're not given any depth. Like a Mrs. Freeze could have worked if it was his wife trying to save him. That would have been so much more interesting. Because the thing about Mr. Freeze is he's a tragic character whose only goal is to save his wife, and that is so interesting because it's like trying to get back what you lost. You know, it's what bastardizes a character for me, and I really hate it. What they could have done is give the option to do mini villains in DC, and they have multiverse stuff be like side story things where costumes are very. Yeah, you could have used that to like unlock costumes. You could have used that to unlock a bunch of stuff. Hell, you could use it to introduce new characters, but the problem is they don't do it well. At least some of the lesser villains. You could have used. I know you did Captain Boomerang. Can we get Condiment King in here? Can we have a Condiment King be a villain, please? I'd love to play as Condiment King. Watch my ketchup blaster, motherfucker.
People want to not just go out and like re-download the game, but like other people want to go and buy the game for the first time just to try it. But instead of really interesting, novel, captivating characters, we get Mrs. Freeze. And we also get an angsty teenager Joker, and like that's it.
Oh god, the way they do the Joker makes me vomit. Oh yeah. Kite Man, like have one of his abilities just be like bombardment, where he just drops bombs on people. That'd be interesting. You could have made this game work.
This is all we have so far. And here's the deal.
Serious?
Right off the dome,
I can
think of a handful of characters that are in DC canon that I think would have immediately captivated Twitter and TikTok.
Can you help me dip? It's how I'm
talk. And
sure.
People would have gotten really excited just seeing them come to the game. Instead of like angsty teenager Joker and then Mrs. Freeze. For one, I think if they brought Peacemaker.
That's what I'm thinking about. Peacemaker could have been so good. Get John Cena in here to do that, I swear. Not to mention the graphics aren't that. I'm gonna be honest, the graphics look worse than Arkham Knight, and I don't know how they did that.
Do a little deal with the man.
I don't know how they did that.
Himself, John Cena, and they actually do a body scan of him, put him in the game. I think that would have been really cool. People would have been super stoked on that, I bet. Or they could have gone with Black Manta.
Black Manta! Black Manta is such a cool character. Like, as much as fucking, like, as much as I like Reverse Flash, I think Black Manta's where it's at, man.
That one random bro just followed.
Just submerge them, and then boil my chicken. No! Thank you so much for the follow. Welcome down the coffee crew. Face coffee's always on me. Have a mocha.
Would be a really unique character, have all sorts of crazy cool movesets and things that he could do. This could have been really compelling. Or another character that they reference in the game already with all sorts of notorious gear that you can get specifically for him and named after him. Just freaking do Scarecrow. Like, imagine Scarecrow swinging through the city like Spider-Man with his big chain hook,
Killer Moth, yeah.
Injustice 2. Dude,
I get it. I get to join the Twitch stream. Normally, I'm on the YouTube side stream. Yeah, welcome.
It's a layup. People would love it. There's all sorts of crazy cool stuff you could do with him, especially tonally. He's very different from the rest of the group.
Exactly.
It just like, come on, it would be awesome. Or perhaps the character I think that would have been an absolute layup and would have gotten people super excited, especially because it works so well with the multiverse idea. This is a version of Batman that is in the lore of
Gotta be honest with this one, I'd say wait on that one. Wait on that one for a few seasons down. It's like the Batman Who Laughs is a cool villain, but I don't know, he's just a little too much right now. He's too similar to the Joker.
And basically the idea is that it's the pure insanity of Joker mixed with the genius of Batman in a melding that creates a horrifyingly brilliant supervillain that don't give no craps and is terrifyingly capable of doing whatever he wants to do. This guy swinging through the city on chains and with laugh gas and stuff. Like,
yeah, I mean, honestly,
an amazing addition to the cast. And yet
they just do an event called
this.
You know what the worst part is? They could have done Bat Metal and just done all the variants of Batman. That could have been so much cooler to see. Like Red Death would have been cool. But yeah, that's my point. There's so many decent characters they could rip from. If they just stuck true to the characters, they could have done so much better. And yet we get pixie-faced Joker and wannabe lesbian Mr. Freeze, Mrs. Freeze. I couldn't tell.
Like seriously, it's almost like they were trying to come up with characters that would be roundly mocked on social media for looking like an actual walking refrigerator, and then also looking like the Joker, baby. It's unbelievable that they thought this was a good idea, because no matter what you think of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, I think you have to acknowledge anybody could have told them that this was going to be received poorly. If they were to do this, they were going to get crap. And the fact that they seemingly have been surprised at the feedback for these expansion characters,
I don't like,
honestly,
if you're okay,
all the more terrifying.
I'm gonna be honest. If you were surprised at the reaction of these characters, you should lose your job. You should lose your job. You know why? Because you clearly don't know how to design a good character that looks visually appealing and that functions visually. I'm pretty sure the gameplay's fine. But the problem is this. No one's gonna want to look at that. Like, if you get memed on Twitter because it looks that bad, half the time, it's because it does look that kind of cringy. I mean, I can't tell you about all the Spider-Man suits in Miles Morales and Spider-Man 2. Like, what Miles Morales' final suit and Spider-Man's final suit looks like, you know... Didn't they start calling him Colgate Kid or some shit?
That they somehow thought this was going to be well received. It's genuinely unbelievable. But setting all that aside, I jumped into this on stream earlier, hoping to see some new missions, hoping that maybe they learned from season 1. After all, they delayed this seasonal update by 2 weeks, or just under 2 weeks. The day before it was supposed to launch, in like early to mid July, they delayed it to the very end of July, the day before it's supposed to launch. Really, really strange. But I was hopeful maybe they were going to drop something really cool.
Wait, Phil, share them stories. I hope you're not doing bad. I hope it's not that bad. I hope you're still walking and not broken.
And crazy and blow us all away, and maybe it would start a redemption arc. Nope, that's not what's going on here. The map is basically the same as it's always been, except now there are some icy effects over different areas of it. But as you can see, this is literally just a square that they developed separately and then made like icy, and they literally just plopped it. I mean, it's almost a perfect square. You can tell that they built the little level, they imported it in here. They didn't do anything fancy to like meld it together. You can see it's right next to a beach. You know what? Let's actually go over there. Yeah, here we are. You can see it's literally just the square piece that they made that they just plopped on top of everything else they already had. Like, it's just shockingly lazy. It's just
is that the only thing they added?
And nothing else. It's unreal. Like, I understand they have a skeleton crew working on this right now, but even still, I'm just consistently blown away.
Can I be honest? Is that the only thing they added? Because if that's the only thing they added, no wonder this game is dying.
And how...
I'm gonna be honest. I don't hate Rocksteady. But you lose this much money and this much player base, I would have shuttered the company. I would have shuttered it without a second thought. And I feel like if I shuttered Rocksteady, I don't think anyone would be that mad at me. At least now.
How unbelievably
Like,
uninteresting
it's
they've
amazing
managed
going
to
from
make
the
these
Arkham
updates.
games, which are
It's crazy.
basically
And
legendary
speaking
in
of
most
the
people's
update
eyes,
itself,
to
of
something
course, it's all
so
centered
horrendous
around Mrs.
that everyone
Freeze,
wants you to literally be
who
shuttered.
has her own unique traversal style, which is kind of what makes or
This is
breaks
better
these
than
additional
this game.
characters. The Joker
Yeah, how is Multiverse still better a
has
game than
really
this?
unique movement
I'm
style.
pretty
I
sure
actually really
Multiverses
like
didn't
it,
cost as much as
and
this.
I think it's the one saving grace of the season 1 update that they did. But Mrs. Freeze, like, you can do this little loop-de-loop thing to get a jump. You can't really get that high in the air with it, even if you time it correctly. You have to do this weird, like, ice wall thing by holding down right bumper, and it just doesn't shoot you up very quickly. Honestly, I greatly prefer
Holy
the
shit.
movement of the Joker. Like, I think him and King Shark, I don't really like Harley's movement.
The worst
that
part
much.
is I saw
King
designs of
Shark
what
and then
Mrs. Freeze was
Boomerang,
gonna
their
look
movement
like,
systems are just
and I was
significantly
still
better.
shocked of how bad it
And
was.
so I found myself somehow disappointed with this, because the one thing that
I'm
they've
disappointed
done
with it. I'm not even
well
playing
so
it.
far, at least with the one expansion and update that they've had, was
There
the
could have been
movement
more
with
ice
the
effects
Joker.
here and
then
there,
this
but
time
that's all they
around,
really did.
it's just not that fun. Like, it just feels worse compared to what they've already done. Furthermore,
Oh god,
there
it feels
are
worse than what they
obvious
already did?
gameplay integrations they could have done with this that just don't work. For example, I thought when I saw the like promotional materials for this seasonal update, I thought that when Mrs. Freeze went and would use like this ice platform thing, I thought it would create an ice platform since she's standing on it that other people in the party could stand on. So you could basically
That'd be
create
cool.
like a floating sniper nest or something.
I mean, honestly, yeah, that'd be
for a
decent.
member
Like
of
a
your
train
party. So
mode.
if I was here, I could maybe
Like, imagine
go out
Mrs.
here,
Freeze train
stretch
mode
the
meme.
ice
That'd be
out and create a
great.
little platform.
Like Polar Express v Woman, you know? I mean, if there's a game that didn't take 4 or 5 years to things that could have been better. I mean, I'm gonna be honest.
For Harley to go out
There's a
onto
difference
if she has
between
a sniper
taking
rifle
4 to
or
5
something.
years and being
I thought that would
somewhat
be super
like
cool,
like
and I was
this, and then
interested
having a
in seeing
Starfield.
how they would implement
I'd
that.
rather play
But it
Starfield
turns
than
out,
this.
no,
'Cause
that
at least with
makes too
Starfield,
much sense.
at
And
least it's
instead,
finished.
it
It's finished. It
disappears
looks like a
as
decent
quickly
game.
as it appears. Like,
And
it's
while
really
you guys
disappointing to
compare,
see how quickly the
being
ice
bad
just
to a lot of things,
evaporates. Like,
I'd still
I
rather play
understand in
that than
case
this.
floating in midair. I get that, but just a little bit of Frozone action would have been cool. Like, if I anchor it here, starting there,
Well, it's
maybe
mediocre,
it
not
stays
bad. It's
supported
mediocre,
and
not
I can
bad.
create, like,
This
little
is
bridges with it.
bad.
They don't have to last forever, but just
This is
something
really
would be
bad.
nice. But speaking of nice, what isn't nice are
Ice.
the outfits that they've put in the game.
Oh,
you see this one, the Science of Style Arkham Pack. This is literally just the Mr. Freeze outfit from
Why?
Batman Arkham City, and it's just copied over here, so you can get that.
This game
if
went
you
no.
want
I'm gonna be
for-
honest. It wasn't that this game was ready. This game had 7 years in development. 7 years. They had the development time. They just fucking suck. I'm gonna be honest. That's like one problem I have with a lot of gaming industries this day, and a lot of people is this. A lot of people, in my opinion, tend to blame the bigwigs, and I'm gonna be honest. They deserve the blame. They're the ones telling you to do this and all this shit, and I will fully agree. Sometimes you gotta blame the actual game devs. Sometimes they deserve the criticism. I'm gonna be honest. It wasn't no bigwig who told them to put Mrs. Freeze in here. That's my thing. I don't think they told them. I think this was the game devs doing a thing. And I'm gonna be honest, especially with the gameplay just being a generic third-person shooter, yeah, I'm blaming the game devs on this one. They just didn't code a good game. Fucking kill me. It's the, I've played plenty of looter shooters like Borderlands, Destiny, Warframe, their first Descent. The game feels awesome, weapons have variety, and the characters all have incredible story and kind of needs work in some cases, but even if that's meh, I kept playing. Yeah, it's still engaging. This game isn't engaging. To quote Luther from Harley Quinn, they made the frosting, but they didn't bake the cake. Yeah, they made the frosting, they didn't bake the cake.
to wear that's an
And I'm gonna be honest. I'll be honest. Game companies that get too... I'm gonna be honest. When it comes to game companies, you should be able to make a multiplayer game even if you're based in single-player stuff. That's one problem I have with Bethesda. That's one problem I have with a bunch of companies. They get so used to what they usually make. Uh, uh, oh. But they get so used to making single-player games that they don't know how to make anything multiplayer. And then when their bosses go like, "Hey, try making a multiplayer game," they don't know what to do. I honestly feel like they should be able to know how to do both, at least. And I know it may not be the correct thing, but take a time off, or at least have a smaller scale, if that makes sense. Like, they're known for AAA bangers and all that stuff, but make it a smaller scale. You can do that. It'll save you a bunch of money to put in, like, more gameplay aspects. This game is like watching the whole Batman franchise crumble around you. It's what it feels like.
Option.
I wouldn't say it's crumbling, because you still have the Batman, which was a decent movie and all this other stuff, but it just feels disgusting.
There's also this one where you can actually wear a trash bag. It's got to be one of the most
Actually, that's like the OG Mr. Freeze, but I don't like it.
appealing and just offensive to the eyes outfits
It
I've
was.
ever seen as a paid
It was not
cosmetic.
good.
Bear in mind, this costs $10. This
What the? Shit. $10 for that shit? Honestly, straight up kill me.
skin costs
Mr. Freeze was
$10.
bald. Remember,
Like,
it's just
you
gender
can't even
bent
make
Mr.
this up.
Freeze.
I cannot fathom a world in which somebody would think that this was worth $10.
Oh my gosh.
You couldn't get me to equip this onto a character if it were free. It's
Yeah.
that offensive. Like, I'm shocked. Every one of my senses
I'm sorry,
is
$10.
repelled by this mustard ketchup
Nostalgia, but holy shit,
rhubarb
I know
pie
that's the point.
monstrosity that I'm seeing before me. But anyway, very few people are going to be buying these cosmetics and stuff. So
There's
I don't
300
think we
people
need to dwell on
playing.
it
No
too
one's
much.
buying this.
The
And if they
core
are, they're just
problem with
diehards
Suicide
too
Squad
willing
is
to
not
play this
cosmetics,
game like
it's
a
not
whale
even
than anything
really
else.
character designs.
The game is
The core
basically dead.
problem
This
with
is like,
Suicide Squad
I have never
is just
seen
that
a
the game
AAA
is
game die so quickly. Within like the first week, it was down to nearly 1,000. The first few months, it was down to 300. Like, this is like, what, month? 4 or 5? Like, this game is dead on arrival so badly. Didn't Warner Brothers say they lost $200 million for this?
frankly boring. And even in these big updates, they have done nothing to really change it at all. Like, they've added occasional tweaks to how
I feel like the game where it's the canon Arkham Batman series. Claims literally pull all the bosses into the night and also kill himself just to use scarecrows for your toxin and come back to like a game devs told. Honestly, that's my problem. Is this game does not fit into the Arkhamverse, and yet it's a continuation of it, which to me makes no sense.
certain encounters will trigger. They might add a different Elseworld that's decorated differently, like hers is all ice themed. So that's different. So I guess we can't be that mad. But even then, it's just like all they had to do was to come along and offer something moderately different and interesting.
Oh my
But I think
gosh.
that they saw the writing on the wall well in advance of the game launching, probably after that first big delay back in 2023. And I think that they knew this game was never going to be a big success, so they took everybody
Big
off of it. They had a
success, this
skeleton
thing
crew
died
working
so
on it,
quickly.
and they just decided, you know what?
It could have been
We'll just
completely
wrap it
different
up, get it
game,
out
not
the door,
connected to
move on,
They want
and
the
we'll call it
you know
good.
what
We'll
the
try to
reason is?
forget that
The only reason they put it to the Arkham name is because that was the only reason this game made any money at all. The only reason this game made any money is because it was continuing the Arkham series. That's the only reason this game made money.
this ever happened, and I can't frankly blame them for that, because I mean, what else are they really expected to do? The work that would be required to really turn this game around
Isn't
is
worth it.
so vast and expansive. It's just not going to be as simple as, oh, we'll just add in
You'd have to
one or
rework the
two different
entire
mission
game
types.
for this to be
No,
worth
they
it.
need a total reworking, and I don't blame
Like,
them.
I'm gonna be honest, if Avengers, the game developed for literally the most popular like superhero team right now, wouldn't it succeed like what they were doing? And you release this shit, of course you're not succeeding.
We're looking at it and being like, you know what? It'll be faster just to make a new game.
It would be.
Frankly, it probably will be.
You'd
But
probably
perhaps
make
that
them
brings
better
us
money that
to
way.
The big question, which is I'm sure on everybody's minds. Luke, why do you keep beating this dead horse over and over and over again? It's got to be bad for your mental health too. Like, why do you keep doing this to
I
yourself?
will say this, I talk about this a lot too. But the reason I talk about it is because I feel like it's a bit of a turning point in the gaming industry. People aren't buying AAA games like they used to. They're being smart with their wallets. I think in a weird way, COVID made us all realize what AAA gamings were doing. And when you kind of got tight on money, that's like the last thing in your mind to buy. So, in a weird way, because of all of this, I think people are just pickier about what they want now. And it's kind of a good thing. So true, it's like you continue to game franchise. So good, just kill the main character. Kill the main fucking guy of that franchise. Like, yeah, exactly. Do you think anyone's gonna be happy about that? No.
And honestly, I think it's because, for one, people are interested. Like, it's just a dumpster fire people can't look away from. And that's probably
I will say this. This game is a beautiful train wreck. Something so magnificently horrible that you just have to see it die.
evidenced by the very fact that you're watching this video right now. Like, there's something in you that found this interesting and you wanted to see what the dumpster fire was like.
Exactly.
Or, I guess in this case, dumpster freezer. But I'm sorry, that was such a bad attempt at a joke. I'm sorry. Please don't
Man, I might give him the cold shoulder for that one. I'm sorry.
unsubscribe. Anyway, I think that, frankly, the reason I continue to go back to it is because, again, the most fierce opponents to games like this are usually former fans of the studio themselves. Like, the reason why I care so deeply about Rocksteady as a studio is because
Okay, I have to make a counterpoint to that. Because yes, a lot of the people who are former fans of the franchise will definitely go after this company with no holds bar. Then you get the other type, the diehards, who if you even criticize Rocksteady are like, how dare you criticize this legendary company? Do you know what they've done for you? They cured your firstborn of the deadly disease known as sadness. Now, Warner Bros. Is trying to make people forget that this by making what assumed to be a prequel Arkham game in VR. No, that's not the reason that game is a reality. That game, in my opinion, was always going to be a thing. It was meant to be a side game. This was supposed to be the flagship game and sell it all. The VR game was meant to be a side game to hold everybody off until you get to another one. That's all it was. It's a side game.
I know they can do so much better. Like, I've seen what they're capable of. And frankly, it's just shockingly disappointing to see them fall so far to do all of this. Like, they are so much more capable as a developer. It is nothing short of depressing to see that this is what they spent the better part of a decade working on. It's just a waste of talent.
Okay, imagine if they were told to make a single player game. Imagine another Arkham game coming out before this. That could have been so much better. Thank you. Rocksteady has cooked up so many good games, but this is just hard fumble. Like, they really sold the game. This is such a hard fumble, I honestly wish they would have gone out of business. Not because they probably don't deserve it as much as I'm saying, but this is just like a bastardization of everything they worked on. It's like they took the last games, put it into a bin, and lit it on fire. Because canonically, this is how it ends. Batman Arkham Asylum leads to this. I want to die.
And in some cases, creative genius, because those Batman Arkham games were phenomenal. And anybody who hasn't experienced them should absolutely go back and play them. And it will also make you all the more astonished that this is the product that they put out after making those masterpieces. But that's why I care.
I'm sorry,
about
mate.
this, because I don't think that we should just give them a pass. I'm a firm believer that if you care about a studio, if you care about some company or set of developers, you don't help them by lying to them or pretending it wasn't that bad. It's fine. It's pretty good. I think you have to hold their feet to the fire and demand better from them. That's how you get better games. That's how you like encourage them to do their best work. You will not get their best work if you are just excusing it constantly. It's why I tend to be so hard on some of these games that I think have a lot of potential, but that just fall a little bit flat, because coddling them will not help anything.
It won't.
And so while I'm sure a lot of people are frustrated,
I'm gonna be honest. When it comes to game devs and game development, in my opinion, if you don't produce a good product after like a few years, I honestly think you should lose your job. If the company isn't producing stuff anyone wants to play and they start actively losing money for it, they shouldn't have one. And as much as it pains me to see, because I'm pretty sure developers are told to do this or told to do that, and they probably isn't there. The only way to hurt the big guys is literally to hurt the developers. And let's be honest, without the developers there, who are you gonna get to make your game? AI? Remember I said what they did, what AI did to the Wish movie? I'm pretty sure that movie did not do well at all. You know now what I do agree with this guy for a bit before the stick drift got mine. I've been playing Arkham Knight, and holy shit, it's such a fun experience. Exactly.
and like Luke, just stop talking about it. The game sucks. I concur, but I'm not gonna let him off that easy.
No, don't. And also, stop talking about the game. The game is bad. Yeah, we know the game is bad. I want to make sure they know it's bad. But let's be honest, the developers said they don't know why Mrs. Freeze and all these other characters are interesting people. It's because they're bad characters. They're bad. Not the original characters. What you did to them was bad. If you can't see that, you should not have a job. We're going to hold you to that fire so you know you didn't do the right thing. So you can learn.
And honestly, so long as people are interested in seeing what the game currently is like, I'll keep making videos discussing it. I don't think I'll cover episode 2 or anything like that. I think, you know, I might do an update for season 3 because we have seen what that's going to look like. And I think that's also going to probably be met with a fair amount of bedevilment, let's just say.
Bedevilment, hey, I'm
maybe
right here.
We'll cover that. I don't think we'll cover the episode 2 of this because it's just going to be a reskin of another Brainiac fight, but
oh god, if they just reskinning into another Brainiac fight, why? They should have done any more seasons, and they shouldn't do any more seasons. I think this is the only thing they had, and they're not doing anything more on this. Hot take, in my opinion, I like multiverses idea in general. Something about different versions of a character of my favorite character have no right to me that what different franchise meaning it is. Like, I'm gonna be honest, multiverses is a decent idea. And the multiverse in general is a decent idea. It's just overdone. Everyone's using it to write themselves out of a pitfall. The Marvel Cinematic Universe is doing that because they don't know where they're gonna go. The DC Universe is doing that because they just want to be able to write any character they want without any sort of restriction. But when they do that, they make the characters that they do have as the main character look bad because they just want to write whatever they want to write and they don't want to have to do anything the bosses tell them what they want to do. So it's a whole thing.
We'll go back to this again. It's just at this point, there's not much to say. Every
it's
update is
I love
just
that
more
pad. Thank
depressing
you.
than the last, and I don't think it's going to magically change or shift because, you know, more time has passed. Like, clearly they're just moving on from this and kind of
you missed us talking about fan service, and now we're discussing Suicide Squad because I think this game is awful.
2 seasonal updates now, and they still have these like basic tutorial messages popping up. You've seen them all through this video where it's like press B to throw a grenade if you want, RT to do a melee attack. Like, the notifications for tutorials are just broken in this game, and they have been since launch, and they just don't do anything to fix it. Like, I've tried, look at that, like slide upon landing. I know how to slide upon landing. I've done it many times. Why are they still trying to tell me these things? Like, it just drives me crazy, dude. Now, I did say that season 3, we already know who the player character is going to be. We already know what they're doing. This game is and
that
so
bad.
No real surprises left. You may be like, Luke, who is that? I'm not going to reveal that.
I'm not even going to go into like something like Skull and Bones, which is just as bad as this game.
Available. They haven't announced it, so it's not really.
This is why you've gone almost pure indie.
What I will say,
this is why I've nearly gone almost pure indie gamer.
Confirmed at this point, like the data.
Like, there's a new game I'm looking at, Delta Force. that looks like a Battlefield style clone. And I'm gonna be honest, I think I'd rather watch that. I'd rather play that than the regular Battlefield right now. You see, we aren't fucking dumb. Well, how, yeah, we.
Like files are, what the
Why are you
data
treating
with
us
the
like
characters
idiots?
are and stuff. So we know who it's gonna be, and once again, it would have been so easy for them to just come in and do like something really
Fuck is this?
badass, like the Batman Who Laughs, or do
Yeah,
something crazy
Red
like
Death.
Scarecrow, or any of those.
Hell,
But
you know what
no,
I want? Bring me Solomon fucking Grundy. I want to play as Solomon Grundy, who was born on a Monday and wed on a Tuesday. Or wed on Wednesday. Christened on Tuesday. You know, all that stuff. Like, give me Solomon fucking Grundy, mate. Holy hell.
oh, it's another choice that I will just say is going to leave people pretty baffled. And I think the overall response among casual superhero fans is going to be, who? And I have no sympathy for them at this point. Like, they knew that this was going to happen, and if they didn't, they're incompetent. So either way, there's no blame. Either they were incompetent or they knew.
Omni, how's it going? Solomon Grundy, born on a Monday. Legit, let's be honest, Omni. I need your opinion here. Would you rather play Mrs. Freeze or Solomon Grundy? I would rather play Solomon Grundy. I'd honestly rather play Solomon Grundy. It would have been funner, especially if you did like you could have done like comic style openings to introduce the new characters. Like literally, you could have done like comic style intros for the new characters, explaining their backstories and do like that stuff. That would have been really cool. Like honestly, you could have done this entirely different direction and it'd work, but you just didn't, and now I'm just depressed about it.
Knew people would react poorly to this, and they said, screw them, they don't deserve to get the character that they
I'd
would
rather
find
take
interesting.
Penguin.
And both options aren't great. But at the end of this video,
Penguin using his like penguin style like umbrella just to fly everywhere.
I am left just as frustrated as I was
Exactly.
when I played the Season 1 update with Joker. Nothing's really changed.
Oh my
Nothing's
gosh.
improved. If anything, they've gotten worse because player counts are even lower, and Mrs. Freeze plays worse than Joker, so there's not really much of
That's
a
even
reason to
worse.
play with her. I did do some of the
I'd go to Grundy because Female Frost doesn't change much for the game.
Elseworld
It
missions
doesn't. The
earlier
worst part is
today
they didn't
on
even change the
stream,
character. Like, it would have been
and
cool if it was his
those you can
wife,
see
but it's
footage
not
of
his
right now
wife.
on screen. You just go
Like,
to
it would
another
have cool
ice
seeing the
world like we've
reverse
seen
of him
before,
being
and
frozen and his wife
nothing
basically
too
doing the same
crazy.
thing to
The
save him.
Brainiac fight
It would kind of want to
is,
show the love
again,
they
just
had
a
for each other.
reskin of fights we've had before, fighting waves and waves.
Yeah,
of
yeah,
enemies.
Brainiac fight
Then you
again.
have a little cutscene that plays out with Mrs. Freeze.
Sadly, he
where
is
she brings
underrated.
in
He's
her
such a
wife,
tragic
Nora,
character, too.
and there's some dialogue about that, and then you save Flash, and he goes back into another like carrier. I don't even know how to describe it because the narrative at this point is pretty much entirely nonsensical. It's just in general, and just as if it couldn't get
like
more
this.
cringy at
Like, my question is, why did you make this a Suicide Squad game? You could have made this a Justice League game. Seriously, you already had it. There's already an Adventures game out. Make this a Justice League game. As lol. I get it, but man, let's be honest. I would have rather played as the Flash. I would have rather played as Green Lantern, Superman, for God's sakes. Like, legit, just give me a Justice League game.
the end of all of it, after you've grinded for like
Oh
anywhere
my
from 3 to
gosh.
5 hours, depending on your build out,
This
difficulty
is
level selection, all
why.
that stuff. You've grinded for hours playing the same characters you've already played as.
I know.
And
And
then you unlock the one and only Mrs. Freeze. You get some
the way
dialogue.
he said that, he was in pain as he said this. That is the worst pause phase ever. He looks like he's finishing. I'm sorry, let's continue.
As I just explained, and then this little post-credit scene plays out in the style of Redfall cutscenes. I have a recording here from Ben.
If it plays out in the style of Redfall, I'm curious to see what happens, but I'm also terrified.
Gunn, who just posted this up so that we could show you now, since he's actually got it recorded. And just take this in. I'm going to point something out, but keep a close eye on what's actually happening on screen, and then I'll point out some of the things I thought were weird.
The hell are you idiots doing? Get the Flash into stasis and get back to work.
Wish you were always that fun, Flasher. We'll make a sidekick out of you yet.
That's
Now, it was very quick. Very, very quick. But This is one of those times where it just feels like the people that were making this game and making these like narrative decisions had one of the weirdest senses of humor where they're trying so hard to be funny and it's just not landing. Like, okay, maybe if you save the Flash, you know, they would take little photos like this, maybe, but all of them taking the photos, it's like a little weird. And then, you know, they do like the Weekend at Bernie's thing where they've got sunglasses.
The only characters I could see doing this is literally those, but that's about it. I couldn't see anyone else doing it.
Glasses on him, and they're doing this, and you know, these two don't think it's funny, but these guys think it's super funny. And then they go forward, and this is like the weirdest one to me here, where they're all kneeling and like hands clasped, like.
Okay, I'm gonna be honest, they wouldn't do that. Literally none of them. I honestly, Captain Boomerang would be saying "fuck you" and cut his head off right now. Like, legit. These are villains. These aren't good guys.
Praying almost to the Flash while Mrs. Freeze tries to put him in like this chamber for preservation or whatever. I just don't know what the joke is. The other ones, like,
I didn't think this was a joke. I thought this was just some dumb credit scene. I didn't see the joke at all.
Sending him off for burial.
Like, what is the joke?
Supposed to be like thanking him?
I'm gonna be honest. When it comes to certain things, the Marvel humor in a bunch of stuff has kind of run dry for me. Like, the way people view humor is not bad, but the Marvel humor, I think, has infected everything a bit. It's like, there's humor in Marvel movies, and I think it's blended into basically everything else. But it's blended in a way to where it's gone to places to it shouldn't be there. Like, this shouldn't be a joke. This should just be, like, one of them throwing him into into the stasis chamber, and that's it, you know?
Him for being who he, or thanking Mrs. Freeze or something. I just genuinely don't know what the joke is, and it just leaves me more confused.
You know, it's bad when the Lego games do it better. The Lego Villains game was actually decent. I liked it better. You know what? Better graphics? It's fucking Lego DC Super Villains.
Than entertained. And this is the story of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League and all of the narrative choices that they do. In the base game where you actually watch...
You know what would have been cool? Wouldn't they just take the plot from the Lego game, considering, don't you fight, like, the crime syndicate? Imagine, like, Lex Luthor and Joker fighting evil versions of Batman and Superman. That would have been actually interesting. That'd be very interesting.
Captain Boomerang, like, pee on the dead body of a member of the Justice League, and it's
oh
played
god,
up
I forgot
like
he
it's
did
supposed
that.
to be really funny, and you as the
god,
gamer are just sitting
why?
there like that's not funny. This isn't entertainment.
Why did they think that was funny? Because I remember them doing that, and I'm like, that's the Flash. People love that character, and now you're literally, you know, pissing on him. What the hell?
It's just confusion. I don't get what you're trying to do. And with this, it's the same kind of thing. I
don't
know
that's
what this
the point.
Is supposed to be.
That's the
but
point.
I
It
feel
makes
like,
you angry. Why would you think this
the
is
old
funny?
saying with entertainment is it's always how you leave them. It's how you leave the audience that's going to leave the lasting impression. And with this is the second to last shot in the season 2 big launch update that's supposed to introduce Mrs. Freeze to the gamers that are making this game function allegedly. And
It's
we're
not.
finishing on something that's just weird.
Oh,
and
I would just
baffling.
the controller
Like,
do
I
well.
know at
Don't
this
do
point
it.
we're just
Save the
nitpicking,
controllers.
and for a lot of people,
No
it's
stick drift.
It's just a weird pose. They were trying to be funny and it didn't land. Don't
Of
fear
course,
too
they.
much, but
Oh yeah,
that's
they
the
could have
whole
Grace
game,
that Batman
is
was.
them
So
trying
yeah.
to be funny and thinking people would react one way, and everybody reacts the other way, and that at its core is known as cringe. Like the most clear definition of cringe or example
kind
of
of.
cringe that you can point to is when somebody tries
I think it's more of a
desperately
disconnect.
to be funny.
Let's be honest. It's more of a disconnect. They think that's funny to do that, and I'm like, it's not funny. You don't understand what these characters mean to some people. People go out and work out because they see Goku in themselves. They go out and see Superman in themselves. They go out and do those things because those characters mean so much to them. Like, honestly, have a Suicide Squad game where it's like killing this, the criminal syndicate, where it's like the evil versions of Superman and Batman and the Justice League. You would probably gotten a better reaction from that. What, killing Flash? Killing Green Lantern? Jon Stewart? Killing Superman? Like, you're not gonna get good reactions from that if they're not played to be sad, because these characters aren't even evil. At this point, they're just brainwashed. So it's like, why?
funny, and it's just not.
It really
But
isn't.
they're not in on the joke. You know, they think they're an amazing singer, but they're totally tone deaf.
Oh
But
god,
they
it's
don't
like if
know
someone's
that, so they
singing in the
keep
shower
trying to
thinking they're
sing.
good at singing, only
those
realize
are
when they come out
the
that they're
things that lead
awful,
to
you know?
cringe. And with this game, it is cringe personified.
Prisoners,
They're
I know
trying
I'm
to
one of
be
them.
witty and charming and have hip characters that are designed
real
for a
life hating real
modern
pain.
audience. And none of it is relatable. None of it is interesting. It's all infuriatingly cringy across the board. And Rocksteady seemingly is just not in on how unfunny or unentertaining it actually is. The choice to have Mrs. Freeze instead of literally anybody else as this season's
It's just,
playable
they could have
character.
done so much
They
better.
apparently thought this was a good idea.
You know, my question
because-
is, why did they go with Mrs. Freeze? You could have given it. Oh wait, they did give us Poison Ivy. We could have gotten. Let's see. Who else could we gotten Cheetah? Could we have gotten Cheetah? I would have loved to play as Cheetah. Also, by the way, I don't know why, but I really have like I have the biggest thing for Cheetah in the comics. She's really nice. I like her. I am not shrimping.
Because they spend all this time in marketing pushing it, and no one else agrees. Like, I have literally not found a single person, a solitary soul, who is like, yeah, this was the pick. The Joker, a lot of people were like, honestly, I like the idea of playing as an alternative reality Joker. And I get that.
I've done community. I've done actually karaoke nights, by the way. Yeah, she's really cool in the comics. She is really cool in the comics, but that's not what I'm talking about. Either way.
understand that. I think that that's one that makes sense. If I was doing a roster lineup of like other alternative dimension villains to join the Suicide Squad, that makes sense. But this, I just don't know.
Can I be honest? Can I be honest? Why was Joker done better in the Mortal Kombat cameo than he was in this? For people who literally wrote the best Joker for gaming, and he was that good, and now I'm just like, how?
Would have greenlit this, and I mean, I guess they don't really know either, because the people that did greenlight it left the studio before the game launched to found a different studio, which it's tantamount to like, oh, our ship is sinking and we're the captains of the ship. Well, we're gonna get off the ship and go hop on that other ship, and we're gonna become the captains of that. Good luck, guys. Bye. That's basically what they did with this game, and I find it so reprehensible and just gross.
I mean, I will agree. That's reprehensible. They left a sinking ship and let everyone else deal with it. Counterpoint. When you know something's gonna suck, are you gonna stay on the same ship? Like, you yourself, just picture yourself right now. Are you yourself going to stay on that sinking ship? Or are you gonna jump off that ship beforehand? 9 times out of 10, I think most people are gonna jump off. Exactly. Yeah, it's called Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. The Joker in the Suicide Squad game looks like a teenager who wants to be the Joker so bad. He's literally, I'm the Joker, baby. That's like, he made that joke earlier, but it's literally that. Like, he's not the Joker. You're together at a party at the city costume. Yeah, it's looked like a bunch of kids just threw a party in the city and just shot up aliens. You know, it's a whole thing. I don't like it.
I don't know how to hide it. Like, I usually try to be like smiles and nods and try to be cordial with people, even if I disagree with them. But with that, you set up your company, your team of employees to fail, and you knew it was going to fail, which is why you didn't stick it out, and you left them to deal with the firestorm and crap by themselves. That's detestable. That's absolutely detestable, and I don't know why it's not a bigger deal in the gaming community. Like, the fact that people are like, well, you know, Jamie Hill and Sefton Walker, they're probably working on something pretty cool. I'm like, those are not people you should probably be supporting. It's unbelievable that they have just bypassed all of the blame for this. It's crazy. But
I'm gonna be honest, put on to the same thing. I don't know if I'd stay on or not. I'm pretty sure I'd jump off just because, let's be honest, if it's just a sinking ship, no one wants to go down on a sinking ship.
anyway, at the end of all of this, I have once again done a number to my brain trying to play Suicide Squad Season 2.
I'm gonna be honest.
Good.
I think we've all done a fucking number on our brains on this one. This game, in all accounts, was just not good at all. It hurt to see all this, you know. Okay, I'm gonna go sleep. Okay, have a nice sleep, everybody. This game, yeah, gosh, why? Either way, but let's see. This video was done by Luke Steffen. I'm gonna send his in the channel so everyone knows to go follow him and all his stuff. Please do follow it. It was a great video, honestly. This game makes us want to never trust Warner Bros. I don't trust Warner Bros. You know what they did? Okay, so this isn't gaming related, but they actually had the opportunity to work with guys who did Into the Spider-Verse for a Batman Beyond movie. And they said, under no circumstances will we do this. I lost my trust in them at that. And didn't they cancel a movie that was basically done? They canceled the movie that was basically done to get a tax write-off. And I'm like, that movie could have been good. It was like, it was Wile E. Coyote suing Acme the entire time. That would have been so much, that would be so cool. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League was a really good game, but where you play as the Suicide Squad kill brainwashed, corrupted Justice League. Yeah, God, why? I swear this is probably the worst fucking year for companies ever. It is. It legit is. I haven't seen a worse year for big companies in a long time. And now my only question is how are they gonna make this up? This has been my running theory for gaming or just any companies in general is you can only take so many punches until you can't anymore. Until you finally just get knocked to the ground. They have taken a lot of punches this year. I don't think they're getting up from this. Or next year, they're gonna try and do something to recoup the costs, and then get hit in the face again. If somebody ever asked me to play Suicide Kill the Justice League or die, I'm telling the person to pull the trigger. I'm gonna be honest, I think I'd take that too. Warner Bros. Has written off so many companies, wrote off so many films, and screwed off workers for tax. It has. They have done such poor decisions in the gaming landscape and just generally everything that it's left a really bad taste in my mouth. It has left a very bad taste in my mouth. I am not happy with them, nor am I happy with anything they've done recently. It was a really good game. They actually did the right thing in the concept. So, I'm gonna be honest, concept-wise, this game works. On paper, a game where you play as the Suicide Squad, killing the Justice League because they become evil because of Brainiac, works on paper. Execution, though. That execution is everything. Like, I can name another game that works on paper but does not work on, actual execution. And that would be, let's put, Anthem. A game where you play around as an Iron Man style character with mechs you can customize and armors you can modify to your own thing. On paper, that works. In practice, no, that don't work. It fucking failed horribly. Like, that's the difference. There's a difference between concept and execution. Execution is everything.